Hey Bookwormies, we are here and we are here for another video. Now, first of all, don't look at my face, don't mind my voice right now because I did wake up not too long ago, so my voice hasn't voiced out and my face is just my face. It's nothing to do with waking up, it's just my face. Anyways, I've been freaking out so bad, by the way, guys. I don't know what's in the air, but it's bad. It's really bad. Anyways, we're here to talk about my June wrap up. All of the 10 books I read in the month of June. Okay, guys? June was a little bit of a humbling month because I was reading one of the books for ever, pretty much, because it's extremely long. So I was reading it for like 2 weeks. It's like 1,000 pages, the last book. So like, guys, no, actually no, because it was two books. It was a different thing, and I was reading them for 2 weeks. But that was because they're long as fuck together. They were like almost 2,000 pages, I think. So reading it for 2 weeks, I feel like makes sense, even though they take me a while to get into it, just because there were moments where I didn't care about the book. Not didn't care, but it was just because I'm slow. Anyways, let's just get into the month of June. First of all, the first two books I read were Tandem Read, which is Star and Starlight and Beyond the Veil. This is part of the Zodiac Academy series. If you guys don't know and have not been following along, my journey of Zodiac Academy has been a month long journey. I barely posted during that time because I did not know what to post, and then at the same time I didn't have the time because I was at the same time reading Zodiac Academy and I had a bunch of schoolwork. Anyways, Sorrow and Starlight and Beyond the Veil. Star and Starlight is the longer book and it follows like the main characters, and Beyond the Veil, something I liked is that we follow characters that we don't usually get their point of view on. I love how, specifically, one thing I loved that the authors did was that we didn't just get the point of view of the twins and their love interests, or just the twins, we got everybody, and there were moments in these books. First of all, this book is heavy because there's a lot going on, there's a lot of preparing, there's a lot of this and that and just everything going on. But something I love is that the authors were still able to give us some fun moments, some camos, some just like they gave us all sorts of fun like scenes, and I was just like cackling in one of them. And when Beyond the Veil, like seeing it, I was like, oh my goodness. It was just so funny. It was just so funny and I loved it. And that's something I love is that like even if there's a lot of shit going on, it's kind of dark and it's kind of like you know, we still find moments where there's love, there's happiness, there's just everything, okay? And I feel like that was so important for this books, specifically in the tandem read. The tandem read took me 2 weeks to read. By the way, guys, 2 weeks. For me, that is unheard of. The most I will read a book for is a week. But this was 2 books. So I feel like I need to give myself the benefit of the doubt. But that was what most of June was consumed by, just because that took me a second. So June was like my worst month, but that's so fine. Anyway, Star and Starlight and Beyond the Veil. I enjoyed Star and Starlight a little bit more, so I did rate it 4.25, and Beyond the Veil is a 4 stars. But don't take it and be like, oh my god, it's a Throne of Glass situation where Tower of Dawn is Beyond the Veil, because Tower of Dawn nobody liked. Well, not nobody. There are obviously people who enjoyed Tower of Dawn as much as they did the other book that I do not remember the name of. But in this situation, I don't think it was that. I think it was just genuinely I liked Star and Starlight a little bit more because it was more interesting. There's more going on, and we did get more point of views in Star and Starlight. But Beyond the Veil gave us a lot of like new point of views that we've never gone before, which I absolutely love. Like Beyond the Veil, it is important for the plot, and it is also, in addition, it was just a fun book. Like there were scenes in there that I was just like, yes, in love with that. And honestly, it was a crazy journey. I'm like thinking back on this books, and I'm fully just like I want to cry. I want to go cry you know. Anyways, next book I read was Every Summer After in preparation because I wanted to watch Every Year After the show. I'll also a little bit touch base on Every Year After, guys, because I have very specific thoughts on it, okay? Every Summer After, we're pretty much following Percy and Sam, and they're like childhood friends. Childhood friends to lovers to, and it's second chance in addition to that. Yeah, it is. It is. Anyways, we'll get in the book. You get both the point of views of them as a kid getting to know each other, and this is set in a small town by a lake called Barry's Bay, and they meet there. Like literally, they're meet cute as kids. Sam and his bigger brother Charlie come over and knock on Percy's door, and they're like, because she just came to stay over for the entire summer because her parents got a house there by the lake, and so they come knocking, and Charlie's like, hey, would you want to hang out? And she's like, with both of you guys? And he's like, no, just Sam. I have my own plans. I just want to get rid of my little brother. And so she's like, okay, fine. And so that's how they get to know each other and blah blah blah. Years later, after they broke up and things happened, Percy gets a phone call one evening that Charlie and Sam's mom has passed away, and if she would like to come to the funeral. By the way, this is Charlie calling, the bigger brother. And so she's like, okay, I gotta pack my bags. and she comes to Barry's Bay for the funeral, and things happen, and we see them. Okay, now the book itself, I enjoyed it. It was a 4 stars. It was very easy to read. I read it in one day because it was just like very quick. There was nothing where I was like, I despise this, I despise that. There were little moments though where I look at it now and I'm just like, I don't know how I felt about this because this book is very specific. First of all, I'm not a huge fan of second chance. The thing is, like, sometimes I can enjoy it and, like, I'm not gonna stray away from it. Like, it's not a trope that I will see and I'll be like, no, get me out of here. Because, guys, first of all, I read it every summer after. I knew going into this as this was second chance. The thing is, in real life, if you tell me, oh yeah, I got back together with the boyfriend of 10 years ago with, and we break up, whatever way, okay? Doesn't even have to be the same way that they broke up. And I'm just gonna be like, why? Why are you going back to him? Leave it in the past, If it didn't work out, there's a reason for it. But in books, I feel like obviously they find a way to like make it, you know, just feel like, I don't know, they make it seem like it's reasonable and like, I don't know, second chance in general in real life, I wouldn't see it the same way, but also in real life, a lot of tropes and a lot of things that I read about in books would not actively happen because books are like somebody's imagination that they put on words on paper and call it a day, But also, I'm firmly just not a huge lover of reading second chance in books just because I'm like, this whole drama, why is it here? If this happened, like, let's say we find out like halfway through the book what this is how they broke up and it's a shitty way, I'm just gonna be like, why are we going through this? Why? I don't know. And I feel like in some second chance romance, it's like some can be done really well and like you'll love it, but some of them I feel like they always come back to the issue of why they broke up, and that's the main reason why they don't get together until like the last 2 seconds, but it just feels like they're dragging on. And here it was okay. I didn't feel like it was dragged on. I feel like it was like how the author spaced it out, I feel like was good. It was just like very tiny moments that I'm like a little bit like iffy on, and still, yeah, just a few other tiny reasons. But yeah, every summer after I ended up rating it a 4 stars. Not a bad rating. Now I want to yap a little bit. I want to talk my shit about Every Year After, which is the show that is based on this. When I say based, I mean like loosely based. Because, guys, a lot of things were changed when watching the show. First of all, it felt a little bit like, the thing is, when I watch other like book to show adaptations, I love them. They're my shit. They're great. They're fun. Like Off Campus, that was done so well. That was done so well. Yes, the people have like a lot of doubts about the casting. Yes, but in the end, it turned out amazing. And then there was another one. I don't remember which one it was right now that I wanted to say, but it was also really good. Though I have not read the book for that other one. I remember. I just watched the show. Anyways, but Off Campus for the idea, I feel like it was really good and it was really interesting, and it didn't feel like it kept me entertained. But Every Year After, I was not entertained. I watched the first few episodes and I was like, okay, I'm kind of done with this, and stopped. And then I came back to it and stopped and came back to it, and that's when I finally finished it. So it took me a while just to get through it, just because I was just bored throughout it. I was skipping a lot. I was just like, I'm not fully feeling this, okay? And it's not a, I don't mean it in a way of like, oh my god, this is a horrible show, don't watch it. No, because watch it. It's still a fun show. But they did change a lot of the things from the book. Like I was just like, I was watching it and I was like, so I don't remember that in the book. I don't remember that being there, and I also don't remember that being that way. There are a lot of things that were changed throughout, and then I watched a few, like after I finished the show, I was like, I wanted to see what other people thought about the show, because I remember everybody talking about it, but I don't remember how people thought about it actually. So I went on and everybody said, yeah, pretty much the same idea, but people still enjoyed it, because I feel like you need to separate the book from the show. That's something I'm really trying to work on, especially when Boys of Tommen, the show, comes out. I feel like it needs to stand alone in my head, because in my head, and for me personally, the show will never compare to the book. I know that already. Like the show could probably be wonderful and amazing and a great show, but at the end of the day, the book is always going to be my favorite, and so that's just kind of it. So I feel like you always need to separate the craft from the new shiny toy. But yeah, Every Summer After was great. 4 stars, nothing else to say. Next, I read Live and Let Lionel, which is a short novella with a bunch of like short stories in there from like throughout different books with different like POVs. Like if we got only one POV on a certain thing, then we finally got the other point of view of what the other character thought in that moment, and I loved it. It was such a fun one. The first 2 stories, I think it was, I audiobooked, which I feel like was a really good choice. It just made it flow better, and then the rest of them I just read through. I read it in a day. It was very quick, very fun. It's not something that you have to read, but I feel like it was really fun and it was really great, and it's a very good palate cleanser before we go into the final book of the series. Okay, and Live and Let Lionel was a 4 star in the end. Really good. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Now to business. I read Restless Stars. I finally read the final book of Zodiac Academy. Obviously, guys, if you want to see my full thoughts on Zodiac Academy, then you can watch my two reading vlogs. I have part 1, which goes through book 1 to 5 or 5.5, and then we have the part 2, which goes from 6 to the book 9, okay? And you can just see all of my thoughts there. But here I'm going to give you guys a little tiny overview. Restless Stars. Restless Stars is amazing for a final book. It was so good. It was so good. Like, it tied everything together. It showed us all the characters. Honestly, the second half, insane. I was just like, oh my god, how are they gonna do this? Oh my god, how are they gonna do that? And it was like they always had something going on, and I was just like, oh my god, I loved it personally. It was one of the best books ever in this entire series. I rated Restless Stars 5 stars. Zodiac Academy is a new favorite series. You can tell me whatever you want. In my opinion, Zodiac Academy is a new favorite series for me. As you guys know, I've been going on a journey of trying to find a new favorite series forever. And I think I found a new one that's close in there. That's close into that group of my favorite all-time series. And I feel like Russell Stars just tied it all in. Like, I know that some books in the series I rated 4 stars and, like, just very much in between. But at the end of the day, I love Zodiac Academy. I love Lance Orion. I love Darius Icrox. I love Tori and Darcy. I love every character in there. I'm just saying these 4 main ones. But I love everybody in there. I love Geraldine with her, like, she's just amazing. She's just a fun character. I love Xavier. I love everybody there. There's no convincing me otherwise. Okay, not everybody, but you know, a lot of them. And honestly, in general, Zodiac Academy is a great, great experience. Did it take me a month long to get through it? Yes, but in the end, I loved it. It was my shit. Can't tell you anything otherwise. Anyways, next book I read was Twisted Emotions. I was like, I need a break. I need a break. I need to read something. No thoughts, pure vibes. Twisted Emotions. It's a dark romance following Nino Falcone, and I forgot the name of the female main character, but it will come back to me probably soon. Anyways, it's a dark romance mafia book, and it was honestly really fun. It's like they're forced into an arranged marriage, but Nino Falcone, no, he can't I'm trying to get the words out. Give me a second. He can't feel emotions and he doesn't really understand them. Like, he personally can't, and that's due to trauma. And she also has trauma. She has a bunch of things going on. So when he meets her, a lot of times he'll use her pulse to understand. Like, he'll touch her on her wrist where the pulse point is and be like, oh, so her heart is racing, so she's probably scared, and blah blah blah. And I feel like that was just like him as a person who does not feel emotions, understanding her, crazy. And she was essayed, and so that's her main trauma, and that's what we were trying to go through most of the book. And honestly, it was great. It was a great book. 4.5 stars. Like, the way they handled the situation and the way you saw the characters evolve from it, I loved it. There's nothing in this book that I did not really enjoy. Like, I love Nino Falcone. I love the entire Falcone family, but I've noticed that a lot of people did not enjoy the rest of the books in that series about the siblings of Nino Falcone, because he has an older brother, Remo, which I think I'm going to read, but we'll see, because a lot of people like are very iffy on that book. And then he also has two younger siblings, and then you also have like kind of like a sort of sibling, you know? So we have those books. I don't know if I'll read them, but I love this. It was such a good book, and a mafia. I loved it. I loved it. It's arranged marriage, but it's amazing. Next, I decided let's read some cozy summer books. First book I read, Rules for the Summer by Megan Quinn. I also have a whole reading vlog on reading some summer books, so you can go watch that. Anyways, Rules for the Summer, we're following, what are their names? Because I remember their names were a little bit like... Okay, so we have Renly Gossage and what's his name? Oh, Theo. So pretty much, Theo, one day, is getting drunk with his best friend, and he as a bet, he puts himself on a fiance website, like looking for a fiance. And then on the other side of it, Renly, she's with her aunt, also drunk, but she's looking for somebody to finance her candy shop that she's trying to open, but she doesn't have the money for it. So she thinks she clicks on a fiance website, not an actual fiance website. It's to find a finance website to find a fiance, actually. She doesn't know that, but she's looking, she comes across Theo's profile. She clicks yes on him, and he finds out. And so this is in a rich small town where they live. So he's like, oh my god, she wants me. But he doesn't actually want to get engaged. But thing is, his father finds out about the profile, and he's like, well, if you don't get married to her by the end of the summer, I'm putting you up with this girl, because he is like a lord. Okay, the father. And so Theo's like, okay, wait, let me go to the small town, and I'll win her over, and I'll get engaged, I'll get married, and we'll all be okay. Great. Only thing is, he comes, proposes to her, and she's like, absolutely not. And he decides, no, I'm gonna win you over. And so he decides to stay there for the summer to win her over. And that's the plot. By the way, Renly and her aunt are kind of like the cautionary tale because of like a bunch of things. Okay, So that's the idea. I rated it 3.5 stars. It's like a laugh out loud book. It's nothing you should take serious, but it was such a fun story. It was just fun. It was easy to read. There was nothing where I was like, oh my god, I hate this. No, it was great. I loved it. It's like for a fun rom-com vibe. Okay. Next, I read Promise Me Sunshine. I rated this 4 stars. And we are following Lenny, not her actual name, and Miles. Okay, Lenny, she just lost her best friend after cancer, and she's just feeling lost. She's avoiding everybody. She's just like, and and before her best friend died, they created a list together pretty much to get her to live again after she loses her friend, because her friend was like, well, I know you're not going to want to do anything, I know you're not going to want to live again, but here's a list, get those done and to get yourself to feel again how you should, and so she's like, okay, and she's taking a bunch of temporary babysitting gigs, and one time these she lands a single mom, Reese, and her daughter, Ainsley, and she just starts babysitting. But then she meets Ainsley's uncle, Miles. He's kind of grumpy, he's a jerk, he's just like not great. And she's like, well, if I act like everything's fine, then everything's gonna be fine, and nobody will notice that she's falling apart because from grief. Miles, though, he's like, no, you're full of shit. I know you're going through something, and I'm going to help you, because he also knows that it is. And he's like, I'll help you complete everything on your live again if you help me connect with Ainsley, because they're not close at all, and kind of like overcome his relationship with the mom, Reese, because that's also very complicated. And so we follow that. I love this. The way that they handled the grief of the best friend just felt very real. It didn't feel like the they didn't use the grief as like just a way to get Miles together with Lenny. It felt like actually something that was going on and that she's actively trying to overcome and just trying to live with. And I loved how the author like showed this. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Next, I read Betrayed by Emily Henry. Guys, I was scared to read this. I've been scared to read another Emily Henry book since forever because of Happy Place. I read Happy Place, did not enjoy it, and I was like, okay, maybe she isn't for me. But I read Funny Story and Great Big Beautiful Life, and I enjoyed those. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about any of this. But I decided, let me read one of her summary reads, which in this case was Beach Read. Okay, Beach Read is about Augustus Everett and what's January Andrews, okay? Augustus, he writes lit fics, okay? And January, she writes best-selling romances. While she writes A Happily Ever After, he kills off his main character and calls it a good day. They are opposites, but one thing they do have in common is that for the next few months, they're gonna be living in neighboring beach houses, both broke, and both of them in a writer's block. And then one day they strike a deal where to help them out of their writer's block. Pretty much, Augustus is going to be writing a romance for the summer, while she writes a lit fic for the summer, and they're going to be going through all these field trips to get them ready for their books. Okay, and so you just follow that. I really like this. I love the take on like best-selling authors and like what was going on and just everything. I just loved it. It was so good. I rated it 4.5 stars. Like the way that you saw them talking to each other and like communicating and like just everything was just perfect. I loved it. There's nothing that like I really looked and I was like I did not enjoy. It was really good. It was close to being a 5 stars, but it wasn't. But I loved it. It was a great book in general. The last book I read in the month of June is One Golden Summer, which is the second book in that Barry's Bay series. This one is about the older brother Charlie. This is the one that I feel like if you read Every Summer After first, you're just going to be like, well, I'm not going to enjoy Charlie's book. But you have to go into it very, like, open, okay? The female main character, she is a photographer, and she one time photographed a picture of Charlie, Percy, and Sam in a boat, and that's how it all starts, because he finds that photo. And pretty much the idea, though, is that she comes to stay at Barry's Bay with her with her grandma after the grandma gets a surgery, and so they're staying, but she needs help around to like first of all get the house prepared and also just to be there with the grandma, and so Charlie's helping out with her, and that's kind of what you're following. That's a very like simple gist of the story, and it was really fun. I rated it 3.75 stars. It wasn't as good, I feel like, as Every Summer After, but I feel like it was enjoyable. It was great, but I just felt like it dragged on a little bit in some sections, and I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this. So that's kind of like my thoughts. I can't say much because I feel like you need to go into blind, but it was just very much like an okay book. I see where people might have enjoyed it, but it was not for me. It was personally not for me. A lot of people love Golden Summer. I feel like you should give One Golden Summer a chance if you're looking at this review and like, okay, maybe I should not read it. No, you should still try, because I feel like It's good. I just personally was not the biggest fan, even though 3.75 is a good rating. But now that I think about it, I feel like it was more of a 3.25, not a 3.75. It was fun, but I was just like, I was not in a great, like, oh my god, I love this kind of mood. So yeah, those are all my thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Comment down below, guys, what you guys read in the month of June, what you have planned for the month of July. I know that July's already like almost done, but let's pretend that it isn't, okay? Comment down below or what you've currently been reading in this month. So yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!